Hey yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to My Life in Stacks, where we stack all the precious things in life. So as you can tell by the title of this video, we're going to be going over why are central banks buying up so much gold right now. So just to give you guys a little point of reference, the buying that is being done this year is so much that it compares to the biggest year, which was I believe 1967. So our central banks are buying gold at the rate that they did back then in 1967. And just a little background info before I give you the numbers of how much they were buying back then and how much they're buying now. Let's just take a look back at what was happening. So in 1967, the biggest thing that happened in the financial market would have been the devaluation of the British pound. So it devalued by 14.3% against the US dollar. So now it's caused a huge financial crisis in the UK. And that led to ultimately a decline of the British economy. People didn't have confidence in it anymore. Just like ding, 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 you guessed it, people don't have confidence in the US economy anymore. That's the reason why central banks are moving over to gold. They're buying gold at all-time highs because they know that what's going on right now is not sustainable. This right here is not sustainable in comparison to this right here. So if you know that, you know that that's ultimately why they're buying. Now let's go over how much they were buying. So back in 1967, which once again was a pretty historic time of central banks buying up gold, they bought 1,404 tons of gold. Now you can't really get numbers that are accurate for what they're buying today, but let's just look at a number that of last year, 2022, of what they were buying. Central banks bought 1,136 tons. So you got 1,404 tons in 1967, and you got 1,136 tons in 2022. Now you may be saying, okay, they bought less than 1967. Okay, one, that was before all the bank collapse happened, the bank runs were starting to go on with all these SVB and what was the other one, I can't remember, it was a couple months now. But this was last year, this was before all the bank shenanigans was happening. And so if you think about it, okay, so let's just chalk it up. Let's just call it 250, the difference between 1136 and 1404. Just for even numbers, let's call it 250. So you had a difference of 250 tons bought in 1967 and last year. Fast forward to this year, there's no real accurate number of what they bought, just because we know right and well they're fudging the numbers. They're not admitting to what they're really buying, because they know that if the American people, and ultimately other countries as well, because right now the dollar is the reserve currency of the world. So if they know, if the people, meaning US citizens and just people all over the globe, if people realized what central banks were buying right now, which is gold, they know that the people hopefully are smart enough to go and buy gold, because they know that's what they're buying. That's ultimately what they should be buying, because they know that's the only real safe asset. I mean, that, housing, stuff like that. And so they're afraid that if the people get their hands on information knowing that the central banks are buying up gold right now at historic rates, they know that people are going to start buying it, which there was it was like mid-March towards April, there was a huge run on gold. I mean, that's why the price shot up so much. The demand for gold has risen 28% this year. So, I mean, that's a huge rise in demand for it. You look at anything else, that's a crazy demand, but a significant amount of the demand has come from central banks, for the reason being they know that this is dying, they know this is on borrowed time, they know that this is gone, they know this right here. Let me look at this. You got like 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, $1,200 right here, right? $1,200 right here. You got $2,000 right here. Look at that. They know this is trash. This is garbage. They know that this is valuable. And I don't want to go down the whole rabbit hole of cash is trash. I mean, everybody knows that this is a more valuable intrinsic value asset, gold and silver. But nonetheless, you know, at the end of the day, how do you pay your bills? This. How do you pay anything that you pay in modern society? You pay with this. Now, do we want to live in a society where we're using gold and silver to transact? I don't know. I mean, I think it makes it a little easier with, you know, bills. But I digress. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Ultimately, the main point is the central banks are buying up all this gold because they know that when this, whatever it may happen, I'm not going to sit here and try and conspire theories on all the different things of, oh, this is going to blow up in our face and be worth nothing, which it's ultimately is, because I mean, what $2 could buy you in 1967 versus now is a huge difference. And that's the difference in the 1,100 tons bought last year and the 1,400 tons bought 1967. Yeah, they bought less last year, but in comparison to the value of the gold that was bought, they bought way more last year. I mean, I'm not going to bore you guys with the math, but we could do simple math. 1,400 times whatever the price is right now is way less than, or sorry, 1,100 times what the price is right now versus 1,400 times what the price was in 1967 are night and day, because money loses value. And so by knowing this, they know that they have to accumulate this, because this ultimately is going down the drain. And like I said, I'm not going to conspire theories on all the different things that why I think this is going to be gone soon, but ultimately, why else would the central banks be buying this up? It raises eyebrows. Why would the central bank be buying this up? They would only be doing that if they know that the US dollar is trash and it's going nowhere. Well, it's going somewhere, it's going down. So that's why they would be buying the gold instead of accumulating currency, paper currency. And just a side note, I mean, some of you are probably wondering why I have a bunch of $2 bills. I like to collect $2 bills for some reason. They're just oddball, different, like me. And I've got a little thing going on where I just collect $2 bills. Don't ask me why, but I do. I collect all of them. I buy a lot of them and just accumulate them and save them and just hold on to them for life, even though they're going down in value. See, that's the trade-off. I enjoy, $2 bills. I enjoy accumulating these, but I know that ultimately, hey, maybe they might be worth nothing. Maybe they might be worth a lot. Who knows? I don't know. Whatever. I digress. My point being, central banks are buying gold in excess right now and at historic heights, because they know that whatever is going on with this is not pretty, and they'd rather be sitting on gold than sitting on cash. So I want to raise the question to you. Are you accumulating this, or are you accumulating all this? I'm not sure. Me personally, I accumulate both, because I'm not going to run my financial life on what ifs and theories and all that stuff. Now, there's a reason why I'm in gold and silver, because I have a feeling about this stuff. I have a feeling that this is going to be long gone. They're going to get rid of it. Ultimately, I mean, you look at the debts, the debt that the U.S. has right now, astronomical number. There's no way of paying it back. We don't have the physical assets to pay back $32 trillion, probably higher now, because I think they raised it or something like that. But point being is, I think with FedNow coming out in July, there's a connection, I believe, with them coming out with that, the banks collapsing, gold and silver going up, gold getting bought at huge levels by the central banks. And I think it all is playing into one factor, which is cash ultimately is trash, and gold and precious metals are king. But as of right now, yes, you still need this to pay your bills. So I don't just say screw the dollar, I'm done with it, and I'm never looking at it again. You can't do that. It's just stupid. You have to pay bills with it, you have to transact with it, you have to do what you have to do. But that doesn't mean you can be ignorant to the fact of what's going on, which is the central banks are buying gold at extreme levels in extreme amounts. And once this year passes and we're able to look back at how much they actually bought this year, I think most people, as things play out with FedNow, central bank digital currency, and all the things that are coming to fruition, I believe that we're going to look back and go, they were buying all that gold for a reason. Now, if you want my opinion on it, my opinion is that FedNow is the base layer of transactory, which is pretty much going to allow us to give and receive, send and receive central bank digital currency. What that will be, I have no idea. I'm not going to speculate on that. I'm not even going to try and figure that out. I don't really care, because it's going to happen. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But I believe that they're going to use that FedNow as the base level of transactions, just like your PayPal, just like your Zelle, just like any kind of bank transfer, anything like that. They're going to do away with this. Bam, gone. And I think either the central bank digital, I think that the central bank digital currency is going to be backed by either gold. That's the reason why central banks are stacking up on it. Or I think it's going to be backed by Bitcoin. That's the reason why the SEC is taking Coinbase and Binance, two of the biggest crypto exchanges, and trying to seize their assets, because just like they did with gold back in, I don't want to mess up the year, but I think it was the 20s or 30s, something like that, they made it illegal for you to have gold, and they made it illegal for you to transact gold. because the dollar was being backed in gold. They didn't want the US to be holding this because this was and is more valuable than this, and they know that, and so they don't want your hands on this stuff. And just like that, just like they did back then with gold, I think they're going to do with Bitcoin now. They don't want the people holding Bitcoin because they know that when they come out with a CBDC, it's going to be backed with Bitcoin and or gold, and they just don't want the people having the power of the thing that is backing what they claim as valuable CBDC. So let me know your guys' opinion. And it's kind of wild off, but it's just, it raises the question, why are central banks buying gold at historic rates? It doesn't make sense. If they believe so much in this, why are they buying this at extreme amounts? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So obviously I don't know the answer to it, so it's a pretty out there question, because the only ones that can answer that are the central banks. Otherwise it's just speculation of why we think they're doing what they're doing. But nonetheless, point being, they're buying it at historic rates. So does that mean you should be buying at historic rates? That's for you and your personal bank, meaning your mind, to decide. I've already decided on my and my family's behalf, and I'm doing such, and I'll continue to do that till further things take place that either change my mind or make me do something else. But till then, I will do what I'm doing. Me personally, yes, I have my investment accounts where I make this stuff, but I take that profits from what I make on this stuff and I buy this stuff. So I do a little bit of both, and I'll always do a little bit of everything. I'm never committed to just one thing. I'm a person of, I try many different things, and so that's what I'm doing. But ultimately, there's a reason the central banks are buying gold at historic rates. There's definitely a reason. I don't know it, you don't know it, no one really knows it besides them and the higher ups, but ultimately there's a reason they're doing it. So take heed to that, understand what they're doing, understand the numbers behind it, understand like how much they were buying back then and how much they're buying now, and just really think to yourself, wow, it's insane how much they're actually accumulating. And think to yourself, based on the events that are taking place in today's world with the banks, with gold, with all the different things, all the different financial markets, housing market, interest rates, all the different things, and you pile that into one thing, it points somewhere. Whatever that is that you come up with in your mind, it points to somewhere. Take heed to that answer and do what you have to do based on planning for that answer, and set yourself up and do whatever it is you have to do. But we'll call it there. I appreciate you guys' time. Let me know if you guys are stacking this right now, or if you're stacking this right now. I'm doing a little bit of both. When the times are right, I'll buy that. But nonetheless, I'm accumulating that little by little, just here and there, as I do. But appreciate you guys. Keep on stacking all the precious things in life, and I'll catch you in the next one.